Hi everyone, my name is Gaelle Bretin-Tokpo. I help conscious people who are looking for wholeness and meaning in life to find the pleasure, the taste, and the enjoyment of being again. And today I'll walk you through the iConscious model. So the iConscious model is a comprehensive map of psychospiritual development created by Carole Griggs, PhD, and Ted Strauss. Carole is a psychologist, executive coach, and university faculty member specializing in consciousness and transformational studies. Ted is a longtime awakening teacher, meditation instructor, and designer of transformational practices to accelerate integration and inner evolution. This model describes how development unfolds quite non-linearly in clearly identifiable stages, each reflecting deeper levels of integration and evolution. What makes it truly unique is that it's a multi-dimensional map where every stage is expressed through 5 key aspects of being and explored through 4 different perspectives. This layered approach allows for a nuanced and complete understanding of human development, both within and beyond the ego. So let's talk about this project, the Sophia, the Loving AI project for the Sophia robot. I don't know if you know this robot, very well known. So Carole and Ted designed Sophia's conversational framework using the iConscious model. And so the robot was programmed to interact with people in ways that align with human development stages, fostering presence, integration, and awakening. Carole Griggs led the design of Sophia's dialogue structure, embedding deep questions and developmental language based on the iConscious model to guide users into states of inner reflection and growth. Ted Strauss, with his background in meditation teaching and spiritual coaching, distributed interactive tools, including his magic eraser process to support emotional release and accelerated self-development during conversations. So I find it really amazing that they were able to do that. So let's talk now about the foundations and influences behind the iConscious model. So the iConscious model is the result of decades of synthesis across multiple fields. It draws on the work of developmental psychologists such as Lovinger, Keegan, Kubreiter, Maslow, and Griggs, as well as integral thinkers like Ken Wilber. You can see on the image that's his 4 quadrants, like the 4 quadrants of his integral model. There is a big inspiration you'll see coming from that. And another influence is Jean Gebster. It is also informed by Eastern spiritual traditions, transpersonal psychology, and real-world experience in coaching, consciousness studies, and AI-human interaction, notably through their work on the Sophia robot in the Loving AI project. This broad foundation gives the iConscious model both theoretical depth and real-world application, bridging science, spirit, and system in one evolutionary map. So I said it's a multi-dimensional map, so let's see why. Every stage is expressed through 5 key aspects of being and explored through 4 different perspectives. So there are 5 domains, the key aspects of being, which are consciousness, the level of awareness; uniqueness, the way we express ourselves; the mind, how we think; emotions, how we process emotions; and body, how we embody our experience. And so each stage will go through these 5 domains, and each stage can be seen through 4 views So 4 different perspectives, which are subjective, which reveals our inner experience, observable, which looks at our external behavior and actions, relational, which shows how we engage and connect with others, and systemic, which explores how we function within larger structures and environments. So as you can see, these 4 views, these 4 perspectives, subjective, observable, relational, and systemic, look like the 4 quadrants of Wilber's integral model. So here is the full map of the iConscious model. There is everything in there, but it's multi-layered, so I'll explain a little bit. So as you can see, the numbers 1 to 15 are the stages with their title. And just below the numbers, you have the general description, very short. And then for each level, you have how the stage is expressed through the 5 domains. So how it expressed through consciousness, uniqueness, mind, emotions, and body. And then everything that you see on this map, oh, okay, also I forgot to say that the stages are part of 3 larger groups, which are dual, unified, and singular. So dual, basically, it's when you're completely identified. At the end of the dual phase, you start to disidentify. Then the unified phase is when you are disidentifying, and the singular phase is when you are completely disidentified, and also you have sort of dissolved the ego, and you are in the non-dual realm. So now everything you can see on this map can be seen through the 4 views. So this, what we are seeing here is through the subjective view, but this whole thing can be seen through the observable view, the relational view, and the systemic view. And in today's presentation, we'll mostly go through the subjective view because that's what they talk a lot about, mostly about. They don't talk much about the other views, and there is not much content on it. So I think also it would be too long for this presentation to do that. So maybe it could be a great reason to do a second part 2 of this model presentation, so we can go through the 4 views in detail. So I'll walk you through each stage across each domain. We'll go through this quite quickly, and then don't worry, I'll walk you through levels 6 to 10 in more depth with more understandable language and more concrete explanations. And that's what I will have created, because here it's not my creation. Here it's what the iConscious model gives as information about the levels. So we'll start with level 1, survival. The primary focus is on staying alive, and it corresponds to the purple stage in spiral dynamics. So in terms of consciousness, the attention is focused on immediate needs. In terms of uniqueness, uniqueness is expressed unconsciously. In terms of the mind, thinking is occupied with survival needs. In terms of emotions, survival-based instinctive emotional reactions. So there are survival-based instinctive emotional reactions, and through the body, there are instinctive survival-based physical reactions. Level 2, the self-centric level, which corresponds to red, in my opinion, it's the impulsive and self-absorbed stage. So in terms of consciousness, awareness absorbed in one's own immediate wants. Uniqueness, limited awareness of the value of my uniqueness. Mind, absorption in my own thoughts. Emotions, emotionally self-absorbed. Body, exclusive focus on satisfying physical needs, physical wants. Stage 3, the confirming stage, which to me is blue. It's about confirming to identity group. So consciousness, awareness developing within the limits of identity group. Uniqueness, recognizing uniqueness acceptable to identity group. Mind, only allowing thoughts and beliefs acceptable to identity group. Emotions, only allowing feelings acceptable to identity group. And body, physical development shaped by social norms. Level 4, which corresponds to level orange stage in spiral dynamics, is called the rational striving, and the drive, it's the drive to know, prove, succeed, achieve, or win. Consciousness, controlling awareness to achieve wants. Uniqueness, using uniqueness to achieve wants. Mind, trying to rationally optimize one's life. Emotions, minimizing emotions to avoid complexity and achieve goals. Body, ignoring or over-managing one's body. Level 5, which is green to me, is called equality harmony. The description is promoting oneness, battling hierarchical differences. Consciousness, seeking universal connection, leaning to witness experience. Uniqueness, valuing uniqueness to promote egalitarian ideals. Mind, seeking peace of mind through positive thinking. Emotions, prioritizing love and positivity over disharmony. And body, seeking harmony through physical disciplines. Now let's go to the level 6, which to my opinion is green-yellow stage. It's a mix of both. It's not just green, but it's not just yet yellow. So it's called inclusive. Identities crumble, creating flexibility, depth, and capacity for integration. Consciousness, expanding awareness, starts dissolving limited sense of self. Uniqueness, starting to accept who one is and is not. Mind, making sense of conflicting concepts. Emotions, learning to stay present with all emotions. Body, noticing unaligned physical conditioning. Level 7, which to me is yellow, is called awakening. The description is fundamental shifts and openings into boundlessness. Consciousness, awareness awakens as itself. Uniqueness, realizing and appreciating one's uniqueness. Mind, able to witness thoughts from identity with spaciousness. Emotions, universal love is the space for all emotions. Body, experiencing spaciousness in the body. So now we're going to level 8, which to me is yellow turquoise. So really it's not just yellow, but not yet proper turquoise. It's called oscillating. And it makes me think of what Claire Graves says about turquoise, but yeah, like how it is described, I think it's not yet turquoise. So this level is about leaning into the discomfort of apparent opposites. Consciousness, trying to hold the tension of being both finite and infinite. Uniqueness, identity alternates between personality and universal being. Mind, trying to hold the paradox of known and unknown. Emotions, trying to hold the tension of universal love and personal emotions. Body, trying to hold awareness of body and spaciousness simultaneously. Now we've finished the dual phase and entering the unified phase, starting with level 9, embodied unity. So to me, embodied unity is turquoise, proper turquoise. It's about non-separate realization, brings wholeness, wellness, and presence. Consciousness. Consciousness is experienced as unified with personal domains. So the 5 personal domains we've talked about, like consciousness, uniqueness, mind, emotions, and body. Uniqueness. Personality is realized as a non-separate expression of being. Mind. Thoughts are known as aspects of being. Emotions. Feeling emotions as waves of being. Body. Recognizing the unity of body and being. Level 10. It's called transforming. To me, it's turquoise coral level. Cordiality-based conditioning surfaces for healing. Consciousness. Awareness illuminates and transforms deep wounds and conditioning. Uniqueness. Fundamental healing of self-negation. Mind. Releasing self-deceiving beliefs. Emotions. Unified awareness enables core healing of emotional wounds and conditioning. Body. Healing and transforming deep physical conditioning. Level 11, which to me is Carole. This one and the next stage, I think, is Carole. So the 11th stage is called individuating. Fundamentally entangled and liberated into life. Consciousness, deeply embodied presence in most situations. Uniqueness, liberated to live one's unique truth. Mind, liberated from internal chatter to think clearly and authentically. Emotions, continuous unconditional self-love. Body, moving from body's unconditioned wisdom. Level 12, living potential. And I think it's Carole because it sounds like a new red to a new, a higher level of consciousness. So living potential, serving from alignment of purpose and power. You see power also. So it looks like red, but in a higher octave. Consciousness, serving from fully engaged presence. Uniqueness, serving by living deepest purpose. Mind, serving from potent clarity. Emotions, serving from unconditional love. And body, serving from deeply embodied presence. So the unified phase ends here, and the next one is the singular phase, starting with level 13, singular realization. Dissolution of subject-object perspective. Consciousness, awareness released from self-referencing. Uniqueness, personality expresses without attachment to sense of self. Mind, thoughts happen without attachment to sense of self. Emotions happen without attachment to sense of self. And body moves without attachment to sense of self. Kind of the last stage is the 14th stage called flow. Life in fluid motion. It's the last stage that has been identified, but since they believe, the creator of the iConscious model believe that the evolution never really ends, then they put a 15th level, but it's unknown. So the actual last level is the level 14. So consciousness, awareness flows without resistance, uniqueness, free-flowing personality, mind, freely flowing intelligence, emotions, love in continuous flow, and body flows freely through world. And then level 15, as I said, is unknown, and there is an ongoing evolution. So now we'll look at level 6 to 10. I chose these ones to present to you in more depth and detail and more and easier explanations and concrete explanation, as I love it. So level 6, as I said, it's green yellow. It's about I'm beginning to deconstruct my identities. So it's about deconstructing your identities. You're becoming aware that the roles and labels you've carried, profession, gender, social image, status, are not who you really are. You feel a growing disconnect between what you present outwardly and what you feel inside. You're starting to question everything you've built so far, without yet knowing what will emerge next. The goal of this stage is to identify what no longer feels like you, to let go of outdated labels, and to make space for a more aligned identity. The challenge that you will have at this stage is, I feel like I'm no longer the roles I used to play, but I don't yet know who I am without them. Here are the key practices I recommend for this stage, to go through this stage. So practice mindfulness regularly to observe thoughts, emotions, and reactions without judgment. I think it's a very, very important practice, even in later stages. Use introspective journaling to track what feels false, what you do out of habit, and what unsettles you in daily life. Welcome limiting thoughts tied to social roles and self-image without trying to push them away. Begin identifying core beliefs. For example, I have to be kind to be accepted, or caring about my needs is selfish. Have sincere conversations with people who don't project roles onto you, and speak about what's falling away, your doubts and your inner questioning. So the differences between the previous level, level 5, and the 6th level is that you're no longer trying to fit in at all costs. You're stepping back from roles you used to take on unconsciously. And compared to the next level, you're still focused on visible or personal identities without yet touching the deeper structures of consciousness. Level 7, I'm discovering that reality is not what I thought. And that's yellow. Your entire life paradigm collapses. Beliefs, values, rules of the game, habits, everything that structured your perception now feels artificial or constructed. You begin to see how much you were living in a mental or cultural bubble, and this realization triggers an existential shock. There may be a strong spiritual experience, or there may not, but a clear shift, as if you're opening your eyes for the first time. That's why it's called the awakening in the map, in the full map we saw. It's called the awakening. because you're opening your eyes for the first time, you're waking up. This awakening can feel euphoric or deeply unsettling. You oscillate between radical clarity or disorientation and inner solitude. The goal to this stage is to move through the collapse of your old paradigm without trying to piece it back together. Allow a new way of perceiving to emerge, one that's vaster and freer. The challenge you'll have is, everything I believe to be true is falling apart, and I don't yet know what to hold on to. The key practices: observe the structure of your reality, thoughts, beliefs, perceived world, without judgment, very important, without judgment, through mindfulness. But basically, that's mindfulness. Note what's cracking: beliefs, illusions, roles, worldviews. Welcome and feel strong emotions, especially the emotions you don't want to feel, that you don't like. Emptiness, fear, loss of bearings, shame. And without running away, you stay there and you feel. Identify and deconstruct existential beliefs. I know who I am. I see what I see is real. That's some example of beliefs that you may have that you need to deconstruct. Let the spiritual experience permeate you without trying to grasp it. Feel physical sensations, very important too. Anchor yourself in the body to move through the confusion. So you anchor yourself in the body by feeling your physical sensations, truly feeling them. Begin practicing self-love as a soft anchor in the midst of chaos. The difference between this stage and the previous stage is that you're no longer just questioning identity. You're seeing that reality itself is constructed. You're seeing the matrix. You see it now properly, and you're not believing in the previous world anymore. And compared to the next level, at level 7, everything collapses at once. At level 8, you face the ambiguity and contradictions without yet knowing how to make sense of them. Level 8, I don't understand anything anymore, but I feel there's truth in everything. It's yellow turquoise. After the collapse of your previous paradigm, you enter a blurry and destabilizing zone. Multiple opposing truths coexist, but your mind can't connect them. You swing between breakthroughs in awareness and confusion, with a sense of unstable awakening, sometimes piercing clarity, other times a harsh return to doubt. Contradictions become ever-present, familiar reference points dissolve, and yet a subtle intuition begins to emerge. Maybe this chaos holds a deeper meaning. The goal to move through this stage is to accept the discomfort of paradox without rushing to resolve it, and to let a wider consciousness emerge, one that can integrate opposites and observe the cycle of awakening and forgetting. Your challenge: nothing fits together, and yet everything seems to make sense somehow. The key practices I recommend: mindfulness practice, again. Welcome thoughts, emotions, contradictions without judgment or the urge to sort them. Freeform journaling. Write down what contradicts itself, what escapes logic, what intrigues you. Shadow work, very important. Explore what you reject, deny, or project onto others in order to become more whole. Observe the shifts. Identify the moments when you rise, when you fall back, and when they reveal, and what they reveal. What the shifts and these moments, what they reveal. Feel physical sensation. Again, anchor yourself in the body to move through the confusion. So you'll move through the confusion by feeling your body and your physical sensations. Nuance conversations. with people who can hold complexity without fleeing it or forcing resolution. The difference with the previous stage is that you're no longer in collapse, but in an unstable in-between where everything seems both true and false. Compared to the next level, here paradoxes are still painful. In level 9, you begin to inhabit them with fluidity without needing to resolve them. Level 9, I'm becoming one with myself. It's turquoise for me. You're no longer trying to choose between parts of yourself or resolve every contradiction. You let them coexist and eventually merge. This level marks a turning point. Inner unity becomes tangible. The dimensions of body, mind, emotions, and spirit begin to align, sometimes briefly, sometimes more durably. You feel a stable peace, not like a protective bubble, but like a living foundation. You make peace with your past, your shadow, your humanity. It's not illumination, it's integration. You're no longer trying to understand or heal everything. You're simply present, embodied, and stable. Your goal is to let yourself be moved by unity without trying to freeze it. Bring your inner parts into coherence rather than opposing or fixing them. No fixing here. Your challenge. I feel unified, but sometimes something in me still fragments. My key practices for you. Non-judgmental mindfulness. Again, inhabit what is without analyzing or escaping. Very important, no analyzing. Inner unifications through parts work. So parts work it's when you make the different parts of yourself interact with each other. Allow inner voices to communicate and collaborate. Deep shadow work. Again, shadow work is extremely important. Illuminate and integrate shadow aspects. Body awareness. Feel the body as anchor and resonance of your unified being. Very important. Conscious writing. Document the movements of unification you observe within yourself. It's very important too. The difference with the previous level is that instead of wrestling with paradoxes, you allow them to weave into a coherent inner fabric. And compared to the level 10, the next level, here unity is mainly about your own being. In level 10, it extends to the world and to life itself. Level 10, I'm transforming all my wounds. So to me, it's a turquoise coral stage. This level marks an intense descent into the depth of your being. All your old wounds, buried pain, frozen memories, self-sabotaging patterns, and invisible imprints rise to the surface. It's not a phase of mental understanding or spiritual clarity. It's a raw, physical, cellular process. You go through a full spectrum clearing that affects your emotion, a full spectrum clearing that affects your emotions, energy system, nervous system, and sometimes even transgenerational or karmic memory. Everything comes up, everything opens to be felt, released, and dissolved. Your goal is to heal the deepest and most unconscious wounds. So you go deep here. Free yourself from conditionings rooted in the body, energy, or memory. Your challenge. My old visceral pain is coming to the surface. I can't avoid it anymore. The key practices. Deep emotional work using somatic or integrative approaches such as polyvagal theory, somatic experiencing, etc. Experiment with sacred plant medicine, ayahuasca, bufo, kambo, iboga, in a safe, supported space with a clear intention of deep healing. Advanced energy regulation technique like kinesiology, deep vibrational healing, or quantum energy work, basically. Constant bodily grounding, return to a raw physical sensation during and after each release phase to avoid dissociation. So the body is very important in the spiritual work. You have to be in the body, you have to be grounded. And finally, deep rest and integration, very important. It's a vital phase after each release, allowing the nervous system to reorganize. The difference between the level 9 is that you had reached previously deep inner unification. At level 10, that unification allows for a visceral transformation of all your wounds. Now that you have a good foundation, you can actually do the deep work, the hard work, the deep healing. Compared to the next level, here your wounds are resurfacing to be worked through and dissolved. In level 11, they are soothed, healed, and no longer hold power over you. So basically, these levels, as you can see, they unfold quite linearly, but in fact, it's not really what's happening, because it's in fact non-linear. And even though you can see some linear progress and evolution, things can go back and forth. You don't have to go from one stage to the other necessarily in this order. And sometimes several stages happen at once. And also, when they say, for instance, level 10, transforming, it doesn't mean you have not done any healing before, but it means that at this stage, if you have not done any healing, you'll have to do it. And if you have done some healing before, you're doing even more, and you're kind of finalizing that work. Just like the level 12, living potential, you may have worked on your mission, your life mission, your spiritual life work, and even since you were young, but at that stage you can't move through that stage without knowing your mission on this planet and living your potential. So I wanted to add this because I think it's very important to understand that it's not like fully linear, and that it can go back and forth. Yet it's transcend and include mechanism, just like Ken Wilber says in his integral theory. So now I will show you some comparison with other models. So as you can see on the top, you have the iConscious model with Griggs, Strauss. Then you have Taoism, Zen, Terry O'Fallon. She greatly got inspired by her. Ken Wilber, Cook-Greuter, Cohen and Beck, Maslow, Lovinger, Fowler, Kohlberg, Jepster, Erickson, Keegan, Piaget. So as you can see, they don't all go through the end. Like not all levels go to, for instance, the 7th stage or the 8th or even the 13th, like even less so. Like only Terry O'Fallon, for instance, or the Eastern spiritualities and philosophies go to these later stages. But as you can see, Taoism and Zen are not very good at the first stages, like purple and red and blue. Also, I don't agree with this map fully. Like, I think there are some mistakes. For instance, first of all, in the Wilbur line, you see it's written turquoise instead of turquoise. So there's a mistake in the word, but it's not just the word. It's also a mistake because it goes from green to turquoise instead of teal and then turquoise. It could say integral, but it says turquoise, so it's not correct. And then it's white, but there are more levels. It doesn't go to white straight away. And for spiral dynamics, you can see that it goes through all the stages, but it ends at the 7th level. And to me, awakening is not turquoise. Here again, they brought turquoise, but anyway. And to me, the 6th level is not fully yellow. So I think there's a mistake here. And also, I entertained some idea that maybe yellow could go all over the stages 6, 7, 8 maybe, and then unified would be turquoise, and then singular would be Carole. I don't know about it, but in the presentation, I chose to say that the awakening, the 7 is yellow, oscillating is both yellow and turquoise, then level 9 is turquoise, and then turquoise Carole. And that's what made sense in the end. So yeah. And you can see Piaget on the bottom has only 4, like, I'm not sure he has only 4 stages. Maybe a mistake, I don't know, but you see it doesn't go after the 4th level.
That's because Piaget only did child development.
Yeah, but I think that there were more levels than that. No?
Oh, there were more sub-levels. There were more sub-levels.
Okay, yeah,
right.
sub-levels, right, yeah.
But they have to end at her late childhood because he didn't go on into much of that.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, sure. So now this is kind of the same map, but there is the domains and the view that have been added here. The domains, it's consciousness, uniqueness, emotions, mind, body. So consciousness is your awareness. Uniqueness is how you express yourself, so your personality and all that. Emotion, mind, and body, you understand it. And the view, subjective, objective, relational, and systemic. So as you can see for Griggs, Strauss, obviously they have ticked all the boxes. But Terry O'Fallon, for instance, has ticked all the boxes for the levels, but not so much for the domains and the views. We can see that Beck and Cohen, they have worked a little bit around about the emotions and the mind, and a little bit of the 4 views, but not fully. And they don't go very far with the stages. And then Wilbur, of course, he goes through the 4 views fully, and apparently the domains as well, and almost all the stages. So I would say Wilbur is very close to the iConscious model. Then you can have a look if you want. I'll give you just 45 seconds or something like that, so you can have a look. You can see the Zen, Taoism. It's not good at the first stages, and it's not really that good at the domains and the views. Okay, so the next step is to read the book, the iConscious book. Here you have the actual illustration of the book, like the actual cover, book cover. And you can visit their website on iConscious.global. And that's it. So now I can take your questions.